I think if you have a child like my 10-year-old, he's been with us 2 years now, there's a trust that's built up. But the difficulty is when the children actually come in later and they haven't had that time to build that trust up.
Yeah.
Who are you? I don't know you. Okay, you look after me. You're a nice person, but can I really trust you with what's happening? In those situations as foster carers, that's when we need the support with those children and keeping them safe. Because teenagers, when they come to you, they especially at that time of life, they've gone through a lot. So they've got all their walls up, all their defenses up.
Then when it becomes difficult for carers is, even if you've got a long-term child, it doesn't come as naturally. It's like going from 0 to 90 in seconds. How do you get there? Because that trust, it's been built up, then it drops, it's built up, dropped, and not because of the carer, but because this is a natural process of developing a relationship. So that becomes harder. It's not a natural thing. You've got to work at it. So just coming up with strategies to help and encourage carers that are finding it a little bit more uncomfortable, and what can we do to support them to be able to have those conversations better. So we've got the looked after nurse, for example, that I may point them in the direction of to get advice. Looked after nurse is brilliant. We're talking with our teenagers. So the conversations of support for the carer is likely to be more about helping them to think about how they can be more comfortable about addressing this. That's your start, really. If you're uncomfortable, the child's going to be uncomfortable.
Short films, short videos can start conversations, and also it takes it away from them, because I find if you talk about something that's happening to somebody else, they're much more easier to contribute to that conversation than if it's directed at them personally. And also, I think sometimes you tell little lies, like I have a friend who has, and ask their opinion and pull them in that way. If you approach them more on their level rather than above them, speaking down, they're more likely to open up.
In the past, EastEnders was my go-to, because they would have these live topics that I would hear about. And I'd say, do you know what? It's really worth watching it. And for example, I don't know, you're doing a child's hair, a young person's hair, watch it whilst you're doing something with them, because it's that whole thing about being distracted, but you're watching something, and then the conversation you have is about what you were watching. And that whole third party conversation works really well.
So if it's a third person, it's a lot easier to put examples in, and the children can use examples about what they've been through without them actually telling you. But also, it doesn't have to be at a set time or a set place. If you start a conversation and it's not going the right way, you can step away and pick your timings. It doesn't have to be right. I don't want to really talk about this. It's going to be now. It doesn't have to be like that. You've got to be able to sense when the right time. So it doesn't have to be all in one go. It can be, planting a seed of a conversation and then stepping away and coming back to that to build on that and slowly getting there and gaining that trust.
What you're doing there as well is you're giving them permission. They know that they can talk to you, because I think if they've come from a family where nothing was ever discussed, their experience is you don't talk to adults about things like this. So if you can actually open a door, put a sign on a door which is, hey, I'm available for you to talk about whatever, then they will feel, because I think the idea for me is as well is that it's important that as adults we can initiate that. But if a young person wants to come and talk to us, we have got to be available. And they won't know that we're available. And as we've done what Katie suggested, having the conversations, but not forcing it, giving permission to have those conversations, which then helps them. And I think if we can give permission, then it happens naturally, because they do want to talk about these things. They do want to ask questions, but they've got to trust us.
Yeah.
I had both of my birth children living at home. With them around, there's that extra layer that they can talk to. Also, I have got Bernardos who provide the independent visitor and my boy meets up. If doesn't meet up, they'll FaceTime or just call. So, you know, there's a lot out there we can try and build in. It's making sure there are people around that you trust for those conversations to happen.